Hi everybody, welcome. I'm Tammy from Tammy's Homesteading Crafts. Today we are in the YouTube corner, the corner of my office where I like to come and sit down and talk with you guys on a weekly basis. So today is going to be a little bit of a different video. I have had a number of questions on one subject and I figured I would talk to you guys about that today. So if you guys are interested, stick around. So before we get started, I just want to take a moment to welcome all of you to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. For those of you who this might be the very first video that you're seeing, I hope you enjoy the content. For those of you who have subscribed already, thank you, and I appreciate you subscribing and liking and commenting on my videos. For those of you who may not have subscribed, please consider doing so. It does benefit me by you subscribing to my channel. Okay, so let's get into our podcast that we're going to talk about today. Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of background about me. I work a full-time job. I also have this YouTube channel that I try to put out videos weekly, and I also have a small business where I make project bags. So just so that you guys realize what I am doing, I don't profess to be I'm not doing this video to have you guys feel sorry for me or patting myself on the back to say that, oh, I do a great job, because I am far from being the best at what I'm doing. I just figure so many people ask me how I get everything done that I do, and I just figured I would talk about some of the ways that I have managed myself to be able to do all of these three basically jobs that I have. And I also am a wife and a mother, and I have a house that I take care of, and all of that stuff that goes along with having that chore or having that ability or that privilege to be a mother, to be a wife, and to have all of that stuff. So like I said, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back of anything that I've done great. I just figure I've been asked this question a lot, and I thought I would address it to let you guys know some of the ways that I manage myself so that I can get all of this stuff done that I want to do. This is something that I want to do, and I have to manage myself to do this. So this is what this is what I do. So my first and foremost job, I work for our local hospital, and I work 40 hours a week for them. I am privileged enough to be able to work from home, so I do not have to travel into work. I do not have to leave my house. That being said, that is one of the ways I'm able to do this podcast, to do my making my bags, being able to save that extra time to be able to do that. I save an hour a day by not having to travel to leave my house. So that's 1 hour a day that I'm able to put onto something else every day. And I like that. You know, that if I did not do that, if I did not work from home, I would have an hour that I would have to figure out how I'm going to get everything else done. That hour is a benefit for me. I start my job at 4:45 every day, and I'm done at 1:30. I can get up in the morning, come upstairs, punch in, work. When I'm done at 1:30, I can go right over to the sewing table, and I can sit down and I can start sewing or cutting out or doing anything. Or like today, it's sitting and videoing and doing my YouTube video. Those are the things that I would have to wait an hour to do. That hour has other people in my house, has noise being made, all of that above that I would have to try to keep out of my videos. And I don't have to, because I do them when nobody else is here in the house, so that I don't have to worry about, yeah, you might hear a dog barking every now and then, but that's somebody delivering something. You know, somebody walking down the street that the dog thinks that the whole street is hers, and she's going to let everybody know that she's here. But you know, on average, most of the time there is nobody in my house. So I'm able to do these videos without having any type of interruption. So that is the first way that I save a little bit of time to be able to get more work done on all the projects that I want to do. Okay, so now let's talk about how I manage for my sewing that I do for the bag making business. Okay, so now for the bag making business, for the Tammy's Homesteading Crafts, the sewing part of it, that is, I sew in, I cut and sew in groups. So one day I will sit and I will look at what I have for fabric and I will match things up. 90% of the time when I buy fabric, I match it up already. If I'm doing a two-tone fabric, I already have it in mind. If I don't have it already, I'm picking it out so that I have the two fabrics that match together. The only other thing I have to do is put the lining on the inside, but and that sometimes that takes a little bit of time to figure out what lining I want. Do I want to bring this color out? Do I want to bring this color out? So once I decide what fabrics I have, I do a massive cut, I call it. And that is where I will take each fabric that I have decided and I will cut the bags that I want out of that fabric and I will set them aside. And I will just go through and that's all I'll do that day is cut. I'm in the mood, I'm in the time frame of cutting and I will cut. I have found for me, if I am not in the mood to cut or sew or do that, if I do it, I tend to make mistakes. So I have to be in the mind frame of doing that project. Otherwise, I sew things together wrong and then I've got to spend the time to unstitch them, or I cut things out the wrong size and I'm wasting material. So when I've decided that I am going to cut, I cut everything else out that I have. But I've placed it on, during the weeks or months previous, I place it on the board so that I these are the ones that I'm putting together to cut when I go to cut. And I get as much as I can cut out. Usually it's anywhere from 20 to 75 bags that I will cut out for a massive sew. Once I get the bags cut out, they're all here on the thing and I know the size bags that I have cut out. Then I start with cutting out my interfacing. And I get all the interfacing cut out. Usually if I'm doing a small bag, I need 10-inch wide interfacing. So I will cut 10-inch wide strips that I can cut to the length that I need because I need the width of 10 inches. The same with my medium bags. Those are 13 inches wide. So I will cut 13-inch strips and I'll just cut a bunch of interfacing strips and have them ready. I don't care. I can cut a ton of them. I can cut a few of them, but I try to have more than I need so that when I get the table, because I need my cutting table, but I use my cutting table to cut out material. I use my cutting table to iron. My cutting table is the only table I have in my office to do that on. So I've got to do one thing at a time. So I will clear it all off. I will cut out all my interfacing strips. Then I will cut all the sizes that I need to match them to the material that I've already cut out. Once I get everything matched with interfacing, now the interfacing is not ironed on or anything, it is just matched with the interfacing, I will turn around and section everything out into groups of color thread that I'm going to use to sew those together. And then I will stack them up. Usually, it's kind of an OCD thing with me. I usually will do the least to the most. I don't know why. It's just how I've done it. So anything that is, 1, 2, or 3, and of course in between this, if I have any special orders, those go of course to the top of the pile, and those are the things that I start making immediately. If I'm cutting out something and I'm actually going to be using that same thread, I will make that and then I will sew the rest of the stuff that I'm going to with that thread. If I only have that one thing, I'll make that, change my thread to the next thing, and go on from there. So I change my thread for each group that I am sewing. That is how I do the sewing part of, doing the Tammy's Homesteading Crafts. Once they're sewn, they get set over onto the other side of the room and they get stacked. When I have a chance or they're all done, I will take the time and I will photograph them. Because once they're made, I still have to photograph them, I still have to tag them, and I still have to put them on the website. So that is still another thing that I have to do. And it needs to be, I do it in stages. So I will take a day and I will set up the area that I do my photographs with, and I will put those in, and I will take all of my pictures that I need to take for the bags. Then I will download them all into the computer, and then I will sit down in an evening when I'm done and I don't really have to think, and I will start putting the bags into the system, into the website, so that they're available to purchase. And since I'm using the bags to ship to trunk shows, to take 2 shows that I am doing, I have to price every bag, because if I don't price them when I make them, I could ship a bag and there might not be a price on it, and nobody might know what the price is if I'm shipping them to a trunk show. So I have to take those are the steps that I, in my mind, have to do. But this allows me to, when I don't have to change my thread for each bag that I'm doing, I can do all of those in that color, be done with that, and go. And I just, I have to, that's what works for me. I have to section it out into groups so that I know what I'm doing. So that is how I section and figure out how I am going to do all of my sewing. So now a lot of the people want to know, how do I get my knitting in to all of this? So let's talk about that. Okay, so how do I get as much knitting time as I want to and finish all of these projects that I want to do? And I've had 2 questions, and I'll answer 2 questions at this point. This is still part of the question, how do I do everything that I want to do? But the other question was, do I feel that doing this YouTube channel, I have to cast on and have a ton of projects? And on one hand it's yes, and on one hand it's no. And here I will answer those why. For the first part of it, I will answer, how do I get all of the knitting done? Well, I try to make myself work on each project every day that I sit down to knit. Now, do I sit down to knit every day? No. There are some days I come out of the sewing room and I try to be done with the sewing room by 4 o'clock so that I can spend the evening downstairs, make dinner, clean up dinner, and then sit and relax, knit, or do computer work, whatever it ends up being that I need to be doing downstairs. But I try to be out of my office sewing room by 4 o'clock every day. That being said, in the sewing part of the video. So now we are downstairs, we've eaten dinner, and we have the evening to do what we want to do, whether it's uploading products into the website, or it is editing a video, or it is knitting. So when I do get the chance to sit down to knit, I try to do 30 minutes of knitting on all of my active projects that I have going on. If I am close to finishing a project, I will kind of like hone in on that project, and I will get that project done, because it's like, ooh, a finished project off the needles allows me to focus on something else, or possibly cast something else on that I want to do. So that's one of the things that I try to give myself 30 minutes. Now, there are projects like my Easy V sweater that I don't touch until Saturday, Sunday, for 2 reasons. One, it's hot out right now. I don't want that on my lap in the middle of the afternoon when it is at nighttime. So I only do it Saturday and Sunday morning. I do 30 minutes on each day on that project. And I kind of take this 30-minute knitting from Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, where she would post 30 minutes of knitting every morning when she was working, to try to get her 30 minutes of knitting each day. And she had a project that she did 30 minutes of knitting on. So as much as I want to get my projects done, I really try to work on each one of them equally every day. Now, it might not be a lot of rows, because I'm doing 3 sweaters. 4 sweaters, I might not get much done on each one of those sweaters for 30 minutes, but I am getting some progress done on them. And once I have less projects, I can put more time into it. So right now I have 9 projects going. 2 of them I only do in certain areas. My daily knit shawl only gets worked when I'm in my office working for the hospital and in a meeting. That's the only time that ever gets worked. My Easy V sweater only gets worked Saturday and Sunday mornings while I'm having my coffee. The rest of the time is I have 2 socks on the needles, I have a tank top, I have a Musselboro hat, and I have 2 sweaters on the needles. When I go to knit groups, I usually try to take things that don't require me to pull out my tablet and require me to concentrate on a pattern, because I might make a mistake, and I really, really, really hate tinking back. So I try not to take projects that require a lot of thought when I am at knitting groups. And I try to do 2 knitting groups a week. I do my Tuesday evening knitting group and I do my Wednesday afternoon knitting group. Those are 2 of the things that I try to do each week to get out. And I figure that is part of my knitting for that day. Usually when I go to those, I try to take at least 2 projects, sometimes 3 projects, because I'm there for 2 to 3 hours, depending on which one I'm going to. And I can sit down, knit for 30 minutes on one, go to the next project, knit for 30 minutes on that one, go to the next project, knit for 30 minutes on that one. And at least that way, when I go home, I have knitted 30 minutes on 3 projects that don't require me to think too much, and I get stuff done. So that's why, that's one of the ways I try to get as much as I can done. And like I said, when I am almost done with a project, I will just sit and work on that project to finish it up. I have 2 projects right now, a pair of socks and a tank top, that I am so close to finishing that I want to concentrate on both of those. So I will sit down and figure out which one is going to take me the less time, and I'll work on that one to get it done and off the needles. I probably, once I get the socks off the needles, will not put more socks on the needles right now, because I don't need them. I don't want them on the needles. There's other things that I want to do. This is the first I've had 9 projects on the needles. It's a little overwhelming for me. I will say, no doubt that it's a little overwhelming. So I really need to get some of these projects off and not cast on too many other projects. So now to answer the question, does this channel encourage me to or pressure me into casting on projects? And I say yes and I say no. Yes, I want to have new projects to show you guys, but it also holds me back because I can cast on everything. But if I never finish a project, what good is it for you guys to watch me? I can show you, I only did an hour I only did 1 row on this. I didn't do anything on this. I haven't worked on this. I haven't done this. So you're not going to watch if I'm never finishing a project. So yes, I have a lot of stuff that I want to cast on, and I see a lot of things that I want to do, and I always want to have new projects for you guys to look at. But I also want to have new projects finished so that you guys can see that, yes, somebody that is busy, that has a full-time job, that has her own business, that is a mother and taking care of all of the normal household things that you have when you have a house, you have children, you have a husband or a spouse, whatever it is, all of that you have to take care of, that you can still have time to do projects and get things finished. So that is why I hold myself back from casting on a ton of projects. I have 2 sitting right here that I want to cast on. They're caked up, actually 3. They're caked up, they're ready to go. But I am holding myself off because I need to get some of the things off the needles. I can't have this many. I can't have another project. My mind can't physically focus on another project. So I need to get it off the needles. So that's where I'm at with this. It's like, okay, let's figure out which ones we're going to get off the needles, and we're going to work on those so that when I do my knit video, I have 1 project. There for a while, I had 4 projects that I got off the needles. But I'll have to tell you, When I did that, I was doing no sewing. I got done with work at 1:30. I went downstairs and I sat and I knit. That was how I was able to get those 4 projects done in a 2-week time frame, because I did no sewing. I didn't have anything that I needed to sew for, and I wanted to take a break from the sewing. So that's how I got all of those done, because I didn't do any sewing. When I am busy sewing, I don't get a ton of knit time, but I try to give myself knit time because I really enjoy sitting there knitting. I like it to be quiet when I'm knitting, or I like to be listening to a book, something that I can hear, but I don't want 19 things going. I don't want to be listening to a book. I don't want the TV going, and I don't want my husband watching YouTube at top level. I want to be able to concentrate and listen to one thing so that I can sit and knit and enjoy what I'm doing. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. That is one of the ways that gets me out of my head. But when I'm listening to an audiobook, a lot of times I can't do a detailed knitting project. I need to have it quiet. So if I'm going to start something new, I need to make sure nobody's in the house with me, that I can start it and I can get it done and get it cast on, and then get into the mood of knitting that without a bunch of people talking to me, asking me this, ask me that, or the TV blaring this and a YouTube thing blaring this. I need to concentrate. I need it to be quiet. So there's certain times of the day that it's like, okay, I want to start this project. I got to do it right now after work so that I can get it on the needles and get it started before my husband comes home, because I need it quiet. Or I do come upstairs to my office where it is quieter and I can concentrate a little bit more. It's just, this is not a comfortable chair to sit in, to relax, to knit. It's, it's comfortable enough to sit in to do the YouTube channels, but as far as sitting in and being up here for an hour, 2 hours, it's not comfortable for me to sit in. I need I need my chair. I need my recliner to be able to sit, be comfortable, and to do what I need to do. So that is how I get a lot of my knitting done. I just try to make sure that I do 30 minutes on each project when I am knitting. And if I am almost done with a project, I really concentrate on trying to get that project done. But those are the 2 things that I have started doing for my knitting. Okay, so let's talk about the YouTube channel. How do I get all of this done on top of everything else? Okay, so my YouTube channel, this is something I have wanted to do for a while. And like I said, this is not anything that I am patting myself in the back. I love to do this, and I love to take the time to sit and talk to you guys and to show you what I'm doing. I love that. That is just it. My husband does not care what I knit. He says, "Oh, that's really nice." He doesn't care. He doesn't listen to me. This is my way of getting people to listen to when I'm talking about what I do and showing off the stuff that I've made. Yes, he's very proud of what I make, but he doesn't care. When you're talking to somebody who knits and you have an issue with something, they empathize with your pain. They feel the pain with you when you have to tink back, when you have to rip something out. They understand. They've been there. My husband's like, oh, he doesn't understand. So I can't get the sympathy that I need from him when I have an issue with something or, frustrated with something. So that's why I really love the channel, that I'm able to come and talk to you. And the other thing is, the reason I started this channel was because I wanted to share my knowledge. I've always been that person that even at my job, when I would find something out and I would find a shortcut, I would always share it with everybody. Go, did you guys know this? You could do this and it'll take you here. Every time I found a shortcut, I would share it with everybody. I loved that. And it just made, I look for things to make my work and life easier. And if people can learn from my mistakes and I can share my knowledge to allow you guys to be like, hey, this is what we do. This is the way I do it. It works for me. It might not work for you, but it works for me. Those are the kind of things I really like to share. So that is why I chose to do the YouTube channel. And I've gotten away from the original tutorial part of it by, doing a garden tour and to show what I'm growing there. I still do some preserving videos on here, but it's kind of gotten to be my knitting podcast, where I tend to do 2 podcasts a month for knitting and 1 for gardening and 1 for something else, whether it's a preserving, a cooking, or even a tutorial like this. And this isn't a tutorial, but just to talk and explain some things and to go over some stuff. But this is where I love to do this. So this is not a burden for me. This is something I enjoy doing, but it does take time out of my day to do. It takes me anywhere from an hour, from 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half to video a video. Depending on how talkative I get, depending on what I'm doing. Then I have to edit the video before I can't take this video and upload it right into YouTube. There's software that you have to do. You have to change it so that it will go into a video for YouTube. You have to add things to it. So I had to get video software. So I have to take the time to run it through my video software and make a video so that I can put a beginning and ending and the whole 9 yards to the video. Then I have to turn around and upload that video into YouTube and to put all of my show notes inside of that. Getting them in there, what I've talked about, who I've, who is, supporting me, and all of that kind of information, so that if anybody is watching that wants to say, hey, they like that yarn, they want to be able to find out where that place is, it's down below that they can go into the show notes and find all of that information. So those are the kind of things that I have to add to my videos. But, I love doing it. Like I said, this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and it's not a burden for me to do. It just takes time to do. And I just wanted you guys to know that it's not, this video, it might be a 45-minute video, but it was more of a 3-hour to 4-hour video for me to film, edit, upload into YouTube, get everything in there, and get it ready to go on Sunday. So it's a long process to get that all done. So those are the things that I, and when I film my videos, I try to make it so that I can get things, I try to have, I never do a sheet, a bullet note. I never do an outline because I never look at it. I am terrible at writing notes for grocery lists, anything like that. I don't make a list of what I'm packing. I never look at it. The list is in my head. It's all in my head. So it's all got to come out of my head in a certain way. So I have to organize it into my head. And to do that, I have to think about what I'm going to say. I have to get it organized in my head so that it comes out in a way that I can put it into a video for you guys. So those are the other things. Yeah, it takes an hour to video. It takes an hour or longer to edit. It takes, an hour to upload into YouTube. And then once it's into YouTube, I have to put all the show notes and all of that stuff in there. But the amount of time that I've gone through this all in my head before I even sit down in front of the camera to talk about what I'm going to talk about, get my projects ready, all of that takes time as well. So those are the things that I really, like I said, I enjoy doing it. It's just I have to get everything in order. I have to be in the frame of mind to do this. I have to think about what my next, I'm already thinking in my head today, and I just filmed this one, what next week's video is going to be. And I think all week on that, and it's in my mind, and I'm running it over in my mind of what am I going to do next week? What am I going to talk about? How am I going to do this? It's all there. I've got to do it, and once I'm done with this video, I have to push it out of my head. It's kind of like me, I have to physically push it out of my head, like you guys would take a piece of paper. I'm done with this, throw it away. I've got that chore done. That's kind of how I do it, but it's in my head. I don't write anything down. I can't. I just don't look at it. So, I have all these notebooks, all these things that I try to write down. I try to keep a planner, and I do have a planner for some of my trunk shows that are going here and there. But, that's another whole thing there. On top of the YouTube, I also do shows, whether I do trunk shows or markets here locally. People don't call me for a trunk show. I have to call them. I have to reach out to them. I have to get the stuff shipped to them. If it's driving area, do I want to go in, close out the trunk show with them? So to make a trip there, and when I drive and make a trip there, that's a day out of the sewing room. That's a day, but it takes time in, getting a hold of all of these people to possibly get a trunk show on the books, to get things put together. And that's a lot of behind the scenes for Tammy's Homesteading Crafts that I have to do, to keep my business going on top of everything else. And like I said, I love doing it. I am happy doing it. It is stressful at times, and I will not lie to you. There are days when I'm done with my job that I turn around and go downstairs, and the only thing I do is to sit in my chair and listen to a book, take a nap. I have too much going on in my head. I have to just veg out. I have to get myself back to center because it's a lot. But I don't mind it. I like doing this. I enjoy coming to you guys weekly. I enjoy doing the bags. I enjoy doing the trunk shows. I enjoy doing the open markets. Yes, it's a lot. And there are days that I am very overwhelmed. And I'm very lucky. My husband does majority of the dishes. He does his own laundry. I don't do that. He does his own laundry. I do my own laundry. I don't have to worry about that. He does all the laundry for the house. He does his and all the laundry for the house. I only do my laundry, which is a benefit to me. I don't have to deal with that. But I'm thankful that he's willing to help out. He cleans the house when I don't have a chance to clean the house. But those are things that, when I'm overwhelmed, he will be like, don't worry about it. I'll do dinner tonight. Thank you. I really needed you to say that, because I am behind the 8 ball and I just don't have the mental capacity to deal with this. So I just wanted you guys to know, I do get overwhelmed. I have a lot on my plate. I love what I'm doing, and I wouldn't change any of it for any amount of time. And I do get frustrated. I do get to, like I said, overwhelmed. But there are times when I'm on a high and I can sew and not have an issue. I can knit and get things done, and I love it. So guys, that was today's video. When I edit, I will know exactly how long this is. I hope it's not too long. I hope I didn't rattle on about a bunch of stuff. But, bullet points here. I try to get 30 minutes of knitting on my projects, the days that I'm knitting on each project that I'm doing to keep them moving. I try to organize when I'm sewing to keep things into certain stages to be able to do that. I try to limit the amount of time that I'm spending in the sewing room so that I know that I have 4 hours every day. and I can turn around and do that. I do try to make sure that I get out and see people, go to knit groups, and have those times where I can be away from the sewing room, away from everything, and just enjoy that. No, do I post as much on social media as I would like? No, because there's a lot of times I don't have time. When you see that I've posted a lot on social media, it's most likely I'm in one of those overwhelming moods that I just need to sit and veg, and I will look at social media, I will design some things, and I will do some posts on social media. That is usually when I am, get all that done, is when I'm overwhelmed and I just need a release. And, I've done a lot of sewing, I've done this, done that, and I just need to get things out there so that people know that they're there. As always, all of my information for the website and all of that is down below. If you guys don't follow me on social media and Instagram, I do more posts there, quick snaps here and there, more often than I do on YouTube. I try to at least do a couple of posts a day on Instagram, which will fly over to YouTube, or not YouTube, Facebook. So follow me there, especially when I have do a big big dump on products. I usually will show them on Instagram first before they are shown through the YouTube channel. So everybody will get a notification that there's new products. But also, I might not get that, so if you guys are looking for project bags, hop on the website every now and then and see the new things that are there. I do usually try to remember to put the badges on them that will say that they're new, or something that has been restocked, so that you guys know, hey, these are new, or, oh, we finally got these back in. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, supporting me. I appreciate it. And like I said, I do love what I'm doing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So as always, I will see you on the next one. Have a good day. Bye.